Assalamualaikum. Well, I'm good, and I hope you people are also good and enjoying a very cold weather where it's 9:50, I think. Time to say good night, or maybe your dinner time. But before all this stuff, I think we should study a little bit regarding our lecture, which is the continuation of the previous one, in which we studied the concentration of the ore and different techniques involved in it. And today we studied the last technique of the concentration of the ore is the electromagnetic separation. Electromagnetic separation is separation based on the magnetic um, ore and the non-magnetic impurities. By the use of electromagnetic separators, we separate the magnetic ores from the non-magnetic impurities, and the process is carried out by dropping the powder ore on the leather belt, and this leather belt move over the two roller. And ore, as it is, as you already know, that the ore is magnetic, and that is why it remains attracted and falls away later, and the non-magnetic impurities, it falls first into the cart. In this way, we separate the non-magnetic impurities from the magnetic ores. Let's move towards its diagram. Here is the diagram. There is a small funnel-like structure here, in which a crushed ore is entered into the whole system. This ore moves toward this roller, and here is the electromagnetic belt. The magnetic ore fall later, and the non-magnetic waste falls first. Okay. Our next technique of the metallurgy is the extraction of the metal from the concentrate ore, the ore which we already concentrate by three different techniques. And here is the extraction of the desired metal by the chemical reduction or electrolytic process. And we know the reduction is a process in which it's a gaining of electron. So move towards the techniques involved in the extraction of metal. Okay. Our first technique is the roasting. Well, quite delicious word roasting comes from the roast, which we love to eat always. In the roasting, the concentrated ore heat at a high temperature, and in this we discuss the example of copper pyrite, in which heated in air, and after heating in the air, it converted into a mixture, cuprous sulfide and the ferrous sulfide. In which mixture, cuprous sulfide and ferrous sulfide, and the impurities left behind, they react with the oxygen, they form volatile oxide, which we right now seeing in the equation. Sulfur dioxide is that particular volatile oxide which released in the form of impurities. In this way, roasting is done. So in the process of roasting, what we got is Cu2s plus FeS, means cuprous sulfide and ferrous sulfide, which we treated further in our next step. And what is our next step is, no, this is not this, smelting. The highly exothermic reaction required blast furnace and small amount of coke. The blast furnace is basically an equipment which we use in the large industries for heating any substance or metal or anything at a high temperature. So in the smelting process, the roasted ore, the ore which we obtained from the roasting process, it heat at a high temperature with the mixing of sand and the coke in the excess of air. Then what happen is, the ferrous sulfide which we obtained from the roasting process oxidizes into ferrous oxide, and when it react with sand, what happen is, iron silicate slag is formed. Iron silicate slag is lighter, so it moves upward and we remove from the upper hole. Slag is basically a term used for the waste material of metal which is of no use basically. That is why we remove it from the upper hole. And the next thing is the cuprous sulfide which we obtained from the roasting process. What happened to the cuprous sulfide? The same thing happens, it oxidizes to cuprous oxide and react with unreacted ferrous sulfide. After that, what happen is, where is the, yes, what happen is when it react with unreacted ferrous sulfide, it forms ferrous oxide and cuprous sulfide. In this way, cuprous sulfide and ferrous sulfide, they form a mixture Cu2S.FeS termed as matte, which is in the molten form, and it contains 45% of copper, and we remove it from the lower hole. Here is the equation which shows the overall reaction by which the cuprous sulfide oxidize first and then react with ferrous sulfide, unreacted ferrous sulfide. Okay, so this is the end of the lecture. And one thing before the ending, I must say that these two topics are very important from the long point of view, especially the roasting and smelting. Both are very important. So learn it from the long point of view, and they are very important from examination point. Thank you so much, and good night. Allah Hafiz.